you're here today. If this is your first time, my name is Stephanie Haynes, and I am an education coach and consultant specializing in helping teens build a pathway to a successful future that they're really excited about. And one of the ways I do that is to speak with parents and speak with educators about a whole host of topics, because as the primary stakeholders, we have a big role. We don't have a responsibility to help them be successful, but we have a role in helping them learn how they want to be successful. And so today what I want to talk to you about is boundaries. Now, I know boundaries can encompass a whole bunch of stuff, right? And we don't have that kind of time. No one wants to sit through that today. But what I want to talk about is boundaries when it comes to education, specifically high school. Right? So let's say you have a high school, or let's say you have a child who's getting ready to go into high school, and you have this idea about what they need to accomplish while they're there. I get it. As parents, we have ideas, we have thoughts, we have opinions about what we want our kids to do and how successful we want them to be and all kinds of things. The thing is, those are our expectations and they're not really theirs. And so we have to be careful. We have to set some really healthy boundaries for ourselves and help our children set healthy boundaries for themselves as well. So how do we do this, right? And I want to try and be as practical as possible, because remember, I've been in the classroom. I am a teacher. I work with teachers all day long. I work with students, and I'm a parent. I have a 24-year-old and a 20-year-old, and I've been there. So I get this from all angles. So let me just tell you this from the educator angle. 1, set the boundary with your child that you will not own their grades, that you will not own their performance in school, that you will not own whether or not they get their homework done. That has to be on them. That really does. They have to want to get that A that you think they need to have. They have to want to do well in that class. You can't make them do well. And the more that you make excuses for them, the more that you bring their homework last minute, the more that you fix their papers for them, or whatever it is that you do as a parent because you wanted them to be successful, is actually hindering them, and it's not going to help them. Especially if you think and they might want to go off to college after high school. Well, they're not going to be successful if you've been doing their work for them, right? So as an educator, can I just encourage you? Your kids are going to be okay. I have been trained to help your child learn how to do this material, and I'm giving them everything they need. Whether or not they use it is up to them. And I don't want them to fail. I want them to be successful, but they have to own that success for themselves. And trust me, when they do, they are so excited. When they get that A on the paper, or they get that C because last time they failed and they did well on the test, they've come to my tutoring or whatever, all of that is beneficial. And so when it comes to grades, please, 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 set the boundary for yourself that it's on them to figure this out and be successful. Now, if they ask you for help, of course you should help them. If they need a quiet place to study, yes, you should set that up. If you're seeing them do no homework at all and they say to you they never have homework, check in on that and set boundaries around what they get to do with their time. They need to have good sleep, for example. And so set those boundaries and expectations about when they get to go to bed, where the cell phone goes. They have to get up on their own and all that kind of stuff. Now, a note about you with heavy sleepers. I have a heavy sleeper too, and they go through like 3 alarms. It's okay to wake them up. But if they go and they choose to go back to bed and they miss school for that day, that's on them. Don't excuse that absence. Set that boundary that they have to choose to get up to go to school on their own. And if they choose not to, that's on them. Now, you can set consequences for that choice. If they ended up missing a day of school, maybe they don't get to have their phone when they get home. Maybe they don't get to go play Xbox or go with their friends or whatever. Or you as the parent can say, I'm sorry, you skipped school today because you slept in. You don't get to play or practice today. You get to do that. And I know you feel you're going to be a really bad parent, but I promise you, one time of you holding that boundary and saying, no, that's not going to happen, they're probably not going to oversleep and skip class again. If that thing that they missed was important to them, right? So let's keep that in mind, that as setting boundaries for our teens for school requires you to kind of back up and not have your expectations, but let their expectations happen, but to set the boundaries around what it is you'll tolerate in terms of their behavior. Now, you can also talk with your teen, and this is something I so encourage. So now I'm not the educator, I'm the parent, right? So as a parent, we can really do a lot to help our teens own their own high school experience and us not take care of it for them. And that comes down to conversations. having conversations with our teens about what their expectations are for themselves in high school, what they hope to achieve each year that they're in high school, what they hope to be able to do. That is a huge insight into what they want. And I promise you, they want pretty much the same things you want. But when you give them the opportunity to voice that for themselves and say, okay, what are you going to do to get there? And have them map that out and then say, what do you need from me to get there? And I promise you, that is the biggest, most important question you can ask your children. What do you need from me? Because they're probably going to tell you, I don't need anything. Okay, then don't. Go off and do your own thing. Don't get involved until they ask you to. And if they start failing, well, that's when that conversation ahead of time comes in helpful, because you can say, okay, you're setting these goals for yourself. What's going to be the consequence if you don't achieve them? And that's important because they'll come up with that consequence. And when that comes into play, you say, you know what? You said you weren't going to miss any school anymore, and you missed today. The consequence you set for yourself was you weren't going to get the car for a week. Hand over the keys. Gently but firmly. That's all you got to do. No yelling required, right? They may be upset. Hold the hand out. Give me the keys. Walk away. Now, you can also set positive rewards when they do achieve it. What do they want as a result? You know, what do they hope to be able to gain? So if they get all those straight A's that they say they want and they work really hard to do that, what do they hope to earn by that? And most of us, we want a positive reward to motivate us to work hard. And we need a little kick in behind of a consequence to keep us from falling too far back. So I hope this has been helpful for you in terms of setting boundaries when it comes to our teens and at least their high school education. If you struggle with this, if you would like some more feedback, if you would like some more support, please head over to stephaniehaynes.net and click on that Contact Stephanie button and leave me a message. I would love to connect to help you with this because I know this is tough. So I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you next time.